So, part 4 of the video. Oh, I think this is the only video I've actually done a part 4. But yeah, back to what I was saying. So, what ended up happening is the social worker got all these statements from the teachers and other people that has witnessed basically my abuse. And obviously at that time, my grandparents were my legal guardians. So, everything fell onto them. What they wanted to do is, because my auntie had her son, they wanted to take the son away from her. Now, my dad was hoping and praying that they took her child from her. And to be honest, I wanted the same too. Now, I'm not an evil person. I loved my cousin from the day he was born. I used to give him like 1,000 kisses a day. I loved him so much. But what his mom was putting me through, I didn't want him to go through the same thing. I was in a way trying to save him from the future beatings that he will get from his mom. And I thought, the type of person she is, she doesn't deserve to be a mother. And so when it happened now, they removed me from my grandparents' house and they took me over to my dad's. And when they removed me, they gave my grandma and grandpa a letter to say that within the next 10 years, if any case comes up about abuse with a child and their name is involved, they will be imprisoned. So my grandma got the letter, my grandpa got the letter, and my auntie got the letter. At this moment, my auntie panicked and she took her son and she went to Gambia because obviously her husband is from Gambia. And I'm pretty sure she told her husband all sorts of stories of how I wanted to get her child taken away. But to this day, I don't think her husband even knows the amount of abuse she was putting me through. And when I went to my dad's, things were great. I was so happy because I was getting to know my dad. But my mom spoiled it for me. My mom started to call my dad quite frequently and tell him all these stories that weren't true about me. About how I'm a bad child. How I love boys so much. And told him about the boyfriend that I did have. Said a lot of things that weren't true, but obviously the things that she said, as a dad, he went into protective mode. And so he started to behave a certain way towards me. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't talk to anyone. I wasn't allowed a phone most of the time. If I went out anywhere, I had to go with one of my siblings. Only thing I was happy that he still let me to do my after school programs, which was my orchestra. Then I was learning to play the piano and things like that. So I was still able to do that. But once I finished school, it's straight home. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere, do anything. I probably only had friends over maybe once in a while, if I was allowed to. If I had my friends over, my little sister basically had to chaperone. And it just, so yeah, my dad spent so much time listening to the lies of my mom that he started to actually believe that I was a horrible child. And so then came my rebellious stage. I started to rebel. I got sick of my mom giving people this impression of me because I hadn't seen her since I was 10 years old. But what my auntie have told about me and things like that, it was what she went off of. And so she was on this vendetta to make me look horrible to other people. And there was times where I used to email her and tell her, I don't want to live here anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. I didn't tell her exactly what was going on. And she was like, oh, how I'm a horrible child. The reason why my auntie beat me is because I'm being naughty. I'm not listening. I'm just doing whatever I want to do, being wayward. And it was just like, that's not who I am. You don't know who I am because you haven't seen me since I was 10 years old. I'm now 14. But yeah, she even went to the point where she worried my dad so much. My dad took me to a gynecologist, basically for them to tell him if I was still a virgin or not. And I was like, I am still a virgin. Did my mom tell you I wasn't? And so I rebelled so much that me and my dad started to butt heads. He gave me an ultimatum. Because I had a boyfriend, he said to me, I had to choose between him and the boy. So he said, if I cut off the boy and focus on my school and him and my family, he would teach me how to drive. And on my 18th birthday, he would buy me my own car. And, it was tempting. So what I did is I called my boyfriend at the time and I said to him, I didn't get to know my dad growing up. I want to get to know my dad. So we're going to have to end our relationship. He wasn't happy about it because he thought, I can still talk to you on the down low. No one has to know. And I said to him, my dad is a police officer. Number one, he traces my calls and my text messages. So there's no way that I'm going to be talking to you and he doesn't know. He will find out. There's cameras in his house and outside. And so I gave up basically the person who I thought was the love of my life. And things didn't get better because he was now so paranoid that I'm this horrible child because of the perception my mom put in his head. He, every day is just like, he'll be like, oh, I know you're still talking to him. If you're still talking to him, I'm not going to do anything for you. And realistically, I did cut him off. I stopped talking to him. And yeah, I stopped talking to him. I realistically actually did stop talking to him. But in my dad's head, it was like, no, you didn't. And every time he's just like, oh, I know you're still talking to him. I'm going to find out if you're talking to him and this, and that. And, every day just being talked to like that. It got to a point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I gave up everything just to get to know you. And it's not working. It wasn't working at all for me. So, like, it got to a point where I just had enough. So I called back up the guy that was my boyfriend after about a year. I stuck out through it for a year. I realized he said he's not going to get me a car anymore because he still thinks I'm talking to Muhammad. Ooh, excuse me, I said his name. I'm still talking to this guy. And yeah, I rebelled. My dad has so many cameras in his house. He's got these little white things on the windows. If he puts the alarm in the house and you lift up one of the windows, the alarm goes off. So, knowing me, very rebellious, I tested it one day. Wait till he put the alarm, and I opened my window because I wanted to know where the alarm was placed and what I needed to do to get out that house. So the first time I did it, the alarm went off. He came running into my room, and I said to him, oh, I just opened the window because I just wanted some fresh air. I didn't realize there was alarms on the windows. And he was like, yeah, the alarm is right there. I said, oh, okay. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to wake you guys up. And so now I proceeded on to Google how to disarm an alarm. I opened the alarm. I cut some cords there. And then I tried to open the window again. And this time, when I opened the window, I realized the whole house didn't alarm. And I realized I had now disarmed the alarm in my bedroom window. And when I started talking to this guy again, he had a girlfriend, but I think because we cared about each other so much, we were just crazy about each other. We just really wanted to see each other. So, them times he was driving now. So he drove all the way to Maryland, picked me up in his car. I jumped out the window, met him by his car. And I had this bag with me because I thought, you know what? If he's saying that I'm doing this, I might as well just do it. I had a towel in my bag. I had some clothes. And I said to him when we finally went to his house, I said to him, I'm ready. And he was like, what are you ready for? I don't understand. And I showed him my bag and I opened it. He was like, why do you have towels and stuff? I said, everyone is talking about sex. I want to get it over with. And for me, I wanted to lose my virginity to the first guy I fall in love with. And it was him. And so I said to him, I'm ready to lose it, and I'm ready to lose it to you. And you can just see the shock on his face, and he was just like, are you sure? Like, are you actually serious right now, or are you just playing with me? I was like, nah, I'm not playing, I'm dead serious. I'm ready. And so, yeah, I lost my virginity that day. I'll never forget it. March 19, 2011. I lost my virginity. Now, I bought the towels because they normally say you bleed. I didn't bleed, not a drop. Even he was like shocked. He was just like, you're not bleeding. Are you sure you're a virgin? I was like, listen, I haven't slept with anyone. You're the first guy I've ever slept with. But yeah, I lost my virginity to him. He drove me back home, and I went into bed as normal. My dad had no clue. But because he kept taking my phone away, what I ended up doing is, I got one of my ex-boyfriends from school to buy me a phone. So back then we had the prepaid thing in it. So he would buy me my minutes for my phone, and I'll hide it in my room. So one time I was doing a project for my schoolwork, and I needed to use the computer, and obviously because I was in so much trouble, I had to be chaperoned. So my stepmom had to sit next to me as I used the computer. Most embarrassing thing ever. And so it went to a point where my phone must have had a message coming through, and because the phone was in between my breasts, it lit up. And she was like, what's that? I was like, nothing. And then she took the phone, and so she went and go show my dad that even though they took my phone, I have another phone. And from there my dad lost it, and he was furious and angry because I was just rebelling so much. He just couldn't take it anymore. And he gave me a choice. He said, I can either continue living with him, but if I continue living with him, he's going to take all the clothes in my room. I can only wear one clothes a week, one uniform a week, and he's going to shave off all the hair off my head. Or I can choose to leave his house, and then he'll disown me and want nothing to ever do with me. Now, at that point, I already felt like a slave. There was no fucking way I was going to sit there and let him shave off all the hair on my head. No way. I've seen some people do that. Like some people in my school, when they come in and their head is shaved, is because they've gotten in trouble. And as an African parent, they'll shave off all the hair on your head. And I had just got my hair done. Like I spent $100 to do my hair. I am not shaving off all the hair on my head and then continue to live in your house as a slave. No, I wasn't having it. There was only one phone number that I always remembered. It was my uncle's phone number. I said to him, the choice I choose is to leave your house. I would rather go back to where I came from than to continue living here like a slave. And so I chose to go back. We got into so much arguments to the point where sometimes I just look at him and I was like, honestly, you do too much. You nearly pushed me down the stairs because I said that. And he was just so angry. And it's just like, I don't understand why you treat me like this. I came to your house to get to know you, but you've let things that my mom said to you made you start treating me a certain way. And so, yeah, when I did move in with my dad, there's one thing he did teach me, and it's to never be scared of anyone. And because of the abuse that I went through, my auntie, like anytime people used to pass by me, I will flinch, I will jump, because I'm so used to every time she comes near me, she's always hitting me. And I do applaud my dad for giving me the courage, because I needed it. Because the person who picked me up from school that day to take me back to my grandparents was my auntie that used to abuse me. And I ended up going back to my grandparents. And when I went back to my grandparents, what my dad proceeded to now do is he wanted me to go to juvenile jail. I didn't do anything. I didn't commit any crime. But he was trying to be spiteful. So he went to the court and told them how I ran away again. He basically made me sign this paper before I left saying that I ran away. But the thing is, I only signed it because he said if I didn't sign it, he wouldn't let me go. So I signed whatever goddamn paper he wanted me to sign. And so he took it to court. because he had custody of me at that time, and he told him how I ran away. And so me and my grandparents had to go to court, and I said to him, I actually didn't run away. I chose to leave his house because of the way he was treating me. I bought the suitcase that he gave me because I was only allowed to take what can fit in that suitcase. If it can't fit in the suitcase, I'm not allowed to take it. He keeps it. He had all my certificates and everything. Didn't want to give it back to me. And we went through a court battle, me versus my dad. And he started to make all these excuses of I did this to him and I did that and I'm a troublesome child. Basically trying to find every excuse in the book to get me to juvenile jail, because when I was running away, the first few times, there was a lady that said to me, if I keep running away, they're going to put me in juvie. And so he was using that against me. And so I said to the judge that the reason why I signed that letter that he's showing you is because he said if I didn't sign it, he will not let me leave his house. And I didn't want to be imprisoned in a house. So I did what he told me to do. And obviously, as a police officer, hearing something like this, when his job got wind of it, basically they suspended him. They took his gun and they took his badge. And this is where my siblings started to hate me, because they said my dad worked so hard to become a police officer, and my mom has tried everything to make him lose his job, and he's never lost his job. But because of me, I made him, for the first time, they took his badge and his gun away from him, which means his job, he was at risk of losing his job. And to this day, my siblings dislike me because of it. I didn't do it in the sense to get him in trouble. I left. I didn't talk to him. I didn't communicate with him, nothing. And he decided to proceed to come after me. And so I left my grandparents to deal with it. Now, what my grandparents wrote on that court letter was things that I explained to him that was happening in the house. He didn't like it because it made him look bad. And obviously my dad has a massive ego. He was very upset, and he came to my house one time with a police officer to arrest me. Now, he didn't come in, he stood outside, and this police officer came in and said how I'm under arrest. And obviously in America, they can't just arrest you like that. They need to explain to you why you're being arrested. And the guy didn't really have much to say about why I was being arrested. And so if they can't tell you a legitimate reason why they're arresting you, they can't basically arrest you. So my grandmother and my grandfather kicked him out the house and told him, well, you don't have any right to arrest her because she hasn't committed any crimes. You're here illegally trying to arrest my granddaughter. And so we had to leave that day and go to court and file for an emergency custody order. And I was trying to get a restraining order against him as well. So what he started to do is he started to stalk me. So because he knew that me not living with him anymore, he'll have to pay child support till I'm now 23. So there was times where I will be outside my grandmother's house and I'll see him pass by in his car with his wife. Like, he started to stalk me. There's times where I'll be at home and I'm sitting there and I can see one of his cars outside my grandmother's house. And this happened for quite a while. And I don't know why he was doing it, but it was just all of around scary for me that my dad just turned into this person that I didn't recognize anymore. And that's the kind of power my mom has on people. If she wants you to hate me, she can make you hate me by just using her words. She was very good at that, and she just gave my dad this perception of me that was just, it was bad. It was so bad, and it became a thing where my dad started to stalk me. And this is how it came to me coming to the UK, because a lot of people ask me why did I come to the UK. I came for a number of reasons. But one of the main reasons was my dad was stalking me. He didn't want to continue paying child support for me till I was 23. And so he was trying to frustrate me in a kind of a way. And he was angry that he may be losing his job as well because of things that I said during the court proceedings and things like that. And it was just so much going on. Like, it's just always drama in my life.